as we unpack this concept of corporate shared value. I've got with me here, not by any order of importance, I have got Wilson. Now, Wilson is the Chief Executive Officer of Zimplus Mondorongezi Chegutu Zimba Community Share Ownership Trust. Welcome, Wilson. Can I'll pass on the mic so that you can then make your introductory remarks. And then, so Wilson.
Yeah, thank you very much, MC. Yes, I think I'm representing the Zimplus Community Share Ownership Trust. We are based here in Chegutu, and what we do is we are currently implementing what we call a community investment model, whereby what we are talking about, the CSB that we are talking about, we are implementing it in Mondorongezi and Chegutu and Zimba districts. And I think I will be talking more on that.
Thank you, Wilson. Thank you. And then we've got Marjorie. Marjorie, you'll be speaking on beyond corporate social responsibility to corporate social opportunity through creating shared value. Welcome, Marjorie. Your introductory remarks.
Thank you, Program Director. So, it was a topic that I was given, and I went back and forth with the organizers to say, help me unpack, because I'm one who believes in being honest, being very truthful and open about the processes that we go through. And most of us in here, we are from the old school, and we believe in assisting wherever we can. So sometimes it will be a token, sometimes it will be long term, and I think this conversation is coming in the right time, because there's also the issue of ESG, the issue of companies now being mandated to report on maybe even carbon footprints. And so it's a big conversation, and I don't think we can exhaust it tonight, but it's a good start. So thank you to the organizers for trying to bring minds together so we can discuss how we can have impact in our communities, in our lives that are sustainable long-term, whether you call it CSR or corporate shared values or ESG. I think it's a process, and I'm happy for processes to take place. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Marjorie. We got Tafazwa. Tafazwa is the Chief Executive Officer of the Zimbabwe Investment and Development Agency. He will be speaking to us on the role of state institutions in driving inclusive socio-economic development. Welcome, Tafazwa.
Thank you, Tawanda, and very good evening to you all. Yeah, interesting topic, I think, and partly I guess I share Marjorie's sentiments that maybe, okay, from the topic that I got obviously is the role of government in enabling all of this. And I think you cannot take out government in this, because just by the very nature of businesses, I think the ultimate motive, I guess, or the reason why they're in business is to make money. And that money is made perhaps in ways that doesn't necessarily align with, I don't know, the best interests of the communities that they exist in. Because if they did, I mean, there would be no courts, we would not have any labor laws or issues or trade unions and things like that. So obviously, I think government's role is to mediate in some way and enable both parties to align and to realize that shared vision. So I think wherever you go, businesses, I think they are blamed for many things, for doing bad things. And this is where government steps in. But what we'd like obviously to see from a government point of view is where businesses themselves realize that for their long-term interest or the benefit of the or long-term shareholder value, aligning, I think, with the interests of the environment and communities that they operate in should be their priority.
Thank you, thank you. It's interesting that we are speaking. I operate on the carbon market space, and right now the government is putting in place a climate bill, and also just a framework on how to trade in carbon credit. And quite big on the agenda is corporates and as developers make their money, there is need for the society, for the communities where these projects are being implemented to benefit, because I think the lessons have been learned that if you bring in capitalism and it goes unchecked, it creates a situation where it's not even sustainable. So I'm glad you're here to speak from the government point of view, regulatory point of view, so that we can see how they can create an enabling environment, but also put checks and balances on how we can then engage. So I want to ask for a round of applause for our panelists. Let's just put our hands together. Thank you, thank you. So what we're going to do is we will allocate each other, 5 minutes? Is that okay? Always 5 minutes? Where we can then just speak to the issues that we have in front of us. And then in those 5 minutes, we will ask each panelist to present. So you are at liberty to then make some notes on the things that you would want to interrogate or to also just add on to in whatever the panelist would have highlighted. And then we will then engage each other in the last 10 to 15 minutes before we go into the celebratory mode of our awards ceremony. So we'll start with Tafazwa. You are the fall guy. You are the closest to me. So we'll start with you. You can present the role of state institutions in driving inclusive social and economic development. Over to you, David.
Okay, no, thank you. Yeah, so I think just to pick up from where I started, so I think the first thing obviously that is required for the two sides to find each other is that you want economic stability. So this is something that governments, I guess, is a priority for the government. So you want obviously stable macro factors, inflation, exchange rate, and even just the environment itself. I think it has to be predictable. Because it's only out of that anyone in business can begin to identify value or the reason why they should be in business. And then I think government should also play its part in the sense that there are certain enablers to businesses that private sector cannot do ourselves. I think we're watching this now, all these roads being built. Ordinarily, those things are not profitable. You might even say things like water and sanitation, So this is the area where perhaps I think government should play its part to lay that foundation for that infrastructure in general. So I think that's very, very key. And then social protection, as much as obviously we want corporates or companies to behave in a responsible manner, I think as far as ensuring that even their workers, from employees and surrounding communities, I think those things are, I think are taken care of. And then so government agency, our mandate is to attract or draw in as much investment into the country as possible. Obviously, when we do that, I think it's incumbent upon us to ensure that the sort of players that we are inviting into the country, their goals and long-term aspirations are aligned with what the country has as aspirations. So obviously, I think we heard in the minister's speech and the PEMSEC speech as well, leaving no one behind. We have as a country a vision of sorts. We acknowledge that obviously there are some investments that we will prioritize, right? Now, in that prioritization, we are taking cognizance of the fact that this is what our people need, right? They need better lives, better infrastructure, a more stable environment. So obviously, any investor who comes in line with that, automatically, I think there is some kind of alignment. The values are shared, and anyone who then witnesses this sort of investment taking place can relate and say that, look, I'm benefiting from that. And I think once you get that going, then I think even though the beneficiaries of, or those who are impacted by operations of any company, and they are seeing their lives on a daily basis becoming better, that is the sort of, it sort of reinforces itself, right? That the company is encouraged to do better. People are also encouraging that company to do well. Yeah, so I think it starts from that formulation of government, and I think as a country we've got the blueprint, and we know exactly where the investment has to be put in place. Obviously, to the things I said earlier, the government has to play its part to stabilize the environment itself, to ensure also that the business is operating in a fair playing field. I think we, time and again in this country, I think, and I'm hoping that going forward we've learned from our mistakes, that change to the environment should never be abrupt, because that also shakes things up. And when that happens, there is mistrust on the part of government, so on business, that as much as they may have had good intentions to do things that are beneficial or share values with communities and so forth, but the moment that government doesn't play its part in that role, the skepticism creeps in, and they probably start holding back. And then suspicions grow. Okay, that we now see these people who operating in our communities, they're not doing as they promised, But we've now added, so the fingers being pointed to government that they didn't play its part. So I think government is important. It's a stabilizer, it's an arbitrator, and also it's an enabler, right, for both parts. And the mediating part of it, I think, is important. Because also perhaps as citizens, as people in communities, our expectations of what companies should do might be outlandish. And so I think it's government's role to make sure that, to bring that down to reality. That look, companies at the end of the day are here to make money, but let's also recognize that first. So that I could go on. So I think, I don't know, I've not been timing myself, but I'll leave it there for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I've made some notes here, so I'm going to be disciplined, like I have asked everybody also to be disciplined. So I'll come back to you. Marjorie, are you going to speak specifically to this very long topic, or you're going to unpack it in the way that you managed to understand it? What are you going to do?
So I'm just going to speak from the heart, because I want my colleagues in here to be very comfortable. We have people sitting here who have to make decisions to say, if Jairus Jiri, for example, calls for a donation, and then we have these heavyweights on us, we haven't recovered as PR practitioners from the introduction of ESG. What do we do? So there's that, so I want everyone to be very comfortable. So I'll start with donations. Donations are not bad. And as a country, we've been living on donations as well. And so for me, I would say, if there's a need to intervene through a donation, which is short term. Let's not discount that. And if there's a need, and the institutions and the communities are different. So we have communities that are well run, maybe they are institutionalized, like the orphanages, the children's homes, etc. I don't expect my company to derive value economic value, so to speak, the way I would expect if I'm to intervene in a broad-based rural community, for example. If I am requested to assist an institutionalized home, so to speak, I step in. But if I, for example, K International, is that K or CSR? Catholic Relief, is that K? K, I mean their work, they are an NGO. So their budget, their operation already, they are going in there to intervene, probably at some point, see a bit of transformation. And then in a relief situation, they're just gonna donate, give food. Like now, we are in a drought situation. So they're just making sure they're in a relief mode to make sure that people are eating. At some point, if they go back into development, they look at short-term, long-term, medium. So, but I'm trying to see anyone from the corporate world here. I don't see anyone. But if, for example,
There are guys from Fossil.
or Fossil. Yeah. So if Fossil, for example, you are operating in Mudzi and you are constructing a road, and there are boreholes to be sunk because there's no water. Mudzi is region 5. So what their need is water, or their need is sending children to school. And so the intervention being done by K is different from the intervention that's going to be done by Fossil. I'm just trying to be practical and not disregard any intervention from a point of view of wanting to see transformation. If I'm based in Harare and there's a children's home, Shinyaratu, for example, and I've got a little budget, remember we're operating on very tight budgets, and I can intervene and see transformation. I would still say that is shared, to some point it is shared value, because I'm thinking, what do I do for this community? And then we still want to understand and unbundle ESG. And I think some people are saying, guys, we are done. So 2 weeks ago, we were at a very good hotel. We're being given awards by a totally different organization, also trying to drive something similar. And today we're here, and tomorrow we'll be somewhere else. So I'm saying, as Zimbos, and as corporates, and as people who are trying to see transformation in our nation, I think it's okay to start having these conversations, like I said, but not to disregard what people can do from their resources. And also maybe compartmentalize our interventions at some point to say the donors can do this, because donors and NGOs are different. The donors can do this, they can give us money, they can find implementing partners, and maybe the implementing partner is an NGO. Corporates, local corporates can also turn to donors and find implementing partners. I can partner with K or CSR as a company, and we can do things together in communities. We went into Matabeleland. It's a virgin area, and what we are seeing there is definitely corporate shared value. What we did was we got the youths together, we trained them, because again, the issue of training is very critical. When you want to see a shared value, especially if you're a corporate, you go in there, you train, they are capacitated. Whatever intervention you are doing, you are saying, at the end of the day, they also must probably become a market. So I don't know whether that is corporate shared value, or it's just people getting together, seeing what. So I don't want the conversation to be too I don't want the conversation, because we sit and we try and convince our CEOs, our MDs, our board to say, give us a budget. So I'm trying to make this as practical as possible for the corporate people. However, what they said to me in our lead is creating shared value means discovering and implementing strategies to generate economic value while simultaneously addressing social and environmental challenges. It's doable. We have to have a big budget. We have to be patient. We have to be patient enough to say, I want to empower and see them also plowing back in my entity, so to speak. It also means reimagining the business model, reconceiving and redesigning products. Sometimes we have to have products that are suitable for that particular market, and also creating value chains that benefit both the company and society. So we probably have to go back into our labs and say, what can R&D do, what can research and development do to create a product that is suitable maybe for Gwanda, for example. Gwanda is a dry area, so what do we do? Do we go back in the lab and try and say, do we milk goat milk and create, things like that, okay? And then also you have to try and come up with a market for that community. It means forging strong partnerships. I mean, that is critical. Because with partnership, you can build collaborative relationships with stakeholders. I think for me, that's the biggest start. I mean, it's a big thing, and we can start from there, including suppliers, Zimplats. We can come to you and say, how can we work together? Everyone wants to be associated with mines. Customers and communities to drive that value, to drive that shared value and achieve mutual benefits. Because at the end of the day, we have to have mutual benefits. Last but not least, prioritizing long-term sustainability, meaning focusing on long-term goals over short-term gains to ensure the sustainability of both the business and society, promoting a sustainable and responsive future. We've been able to do it in over 18 months. We went in, like I said, trained, did a bit of donation, went back, and then created a market, and they trusted us, and now they are buying our products. And I think for me that is shared value, isn't it? Thank you.
Thank you.
Marjorie, thank you. I like the angle. You saying let's not be too academic. Let's just make it practical. Let's just make it work and let it get to the common person that they can also take part in it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. A round of applause again for Marjorie. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Wilson, you got a case study.
Yes.
So you are the practical component of what we are talking about here. So maybe you could explain to us so that those who might not have done it can also then be inspired to do it.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think mine is a case that, as you say, is an example of the implementation of the corporate shared value. Yeah, I think I'll just go through who we are, what we do, and I think probably you'll see yourself what we are doing in terms of implementing that concept. Yeah, we are Zimplats, Mondorenge, the Cheko Rimba Community Share Ownership Trust, having been founded in 2011. We were founded by Zimplats itself, the government of Zimbabwe, through the then Minister of Indigenization and Empowerment, but now we fall under the Minister of Industry and Commerce. The trust, I think, if you look at it, there were three parties. There's the government there, there was Zimplats there, and there was the community on the other side. And these three parties are benefiting from each other. There's creation of value, there's transfer of value. The communities basically are sitting on a mineral resource that is underneath. And Zimplats want to exploit that mineral resource and maximize its shareholders' value, create profits and all that. And the government on this other side is providing policies that enhance all these things to happen. And you then find that they came together and founded the Community Trust. And what was the mandate of the Community Trust? It was basically to invest in any investment, create investment portfolios that we can invest in, basically looking at the 3 districts, and then utilize the proceeds or the returns that comes out of these investments in carrying out developmental activities and projects to benefit the communities that Zimplats is currently operating from. So basically, at the moment, as we started, let me go back as we started, the model that was being implemented since 2011 was basically on the CSR concept, whereby we're going out into the villages and bringing boreholes, doing all repairing classrooms, building classrooms, donating ambulances and all that. But as time goes on, the resources that were given by Zimplats, they started to deplete. And the trust then became just doing nothing. They're very much incapacitated to continue doing those activities. And I understood that by that time there was a lot of noise from the community that we no longer see you guys. Where are you? It then forced us and Zimplats to come up with a model that is more innovative, that is more looking on doing sustainable investments that will benefit the community. So we then implemented what we call a community investment model after remodeling, which then entails that we create an investment portfolio that is owned by the trust, operated on a commercial basis under special purpose vehicles. I think at the moment we've created a company called Delgrants, Enterprise Private Limited. That company is run by a professional board, and the trust itself is also administered by the local chiefs. There were chiefs from all the districts. There are 12 chiefs with representatives from Zimplats, with representatives from the Ministry of Industry and Commerce. We also got members of professional bodies, the accountants, the lawyers on that board. So we are looking at a board that is representing the interests of everybody and also running this enterprise of this trust on a very professional basis. So what we've done now under Delgrants is to then carry out investments. The first investment that we've got is we've invested in Sebo chickens. I think you are aware or you've seen Sebo chickens in the supermarkets. We are 33%, 33.3% in there, where we grow chickens. We have implemented an outgrowers model, whereby members of the communities in the 3 districts are provided all what is required to grow chickens. They are provided all the inputs. They are provided all the vet services. They are provided the chicks themselves, the feed, and 28 days later, Sebo comes, goes there, collect the chickens, they go and weigh them, price the per kg, then you are given the difference between the costs that was incurred versus the price that you have, or the kgs times the price. So this model has worked quite well. Sebo is currently doing about 400,000 to 500,000 chickens per month, which is almost more than 100,000 chickens per week. And most of the farmers in the communities are aiming quite highly. For example, it will then create more value for over 60 years that will benefit the community through the projects that we will be implementing from the process. And the community is also benefiting by providing the land. We have people who have been given the farms in under A1 and A2, and there is underutilization of these farms. And at the moment, we are partnering these farmers to grow citrus on their farms. So it's also a benefit that comes to the farms. The trust also under the brands has got investment in quite a number of companies. We've got Ascavo, which is doing gold mining in Kadoma. We've also got Voltron, which is doing underground equipment servicing in Zimplus. We've also got Palmline, which is doing cattle and dairy, cattle farming, Zimplus concessions, as well as at Gwabi. We've got one called Mine Solutions. Mine Support Solutions, this one is doing both for underground support. We've also got one called Value Bridge. This one is doing concrete. The concrete is being utilized by Zimplus in the various projects that is undertaking. Let me talk about, we also got a trucking division. We have realized that we are based in a mining region, and there's need for transportation, for minerals, for inputs, and we've entered into that sector whereby we've applied tipper trucks as well as haulage trucks. So let me just go through what we've done in the community. So the investment, the returns that we're getting from this kind of investments, the investment that I've mentioned, we are implementing community development projects. Now back to the CSR that we're talking about, to say there are societal needs. There are disasters that happens almost on a yearly basis. We are called upon then to assist. We are also called upon to provide health facilities, to provide water and sanitation in the communities. What we've done is we've done in various projects in education, in health. We've built schools, we've drilled boreholes, for example, we've drilled about 45 boreholes, and we've also constructed public toilets. At the moment, currently this year, what we've done is we've done piped water schemes in communities. We've also renovated classrooms. We've also converted dilapidated farmhouses into clinics so that people within the areas, they benefit. So let me talk about the outlook. We want to grow our investment portfolio. We want to further do investment in mining. I think the next year we'll be looking into chrome mining. Zimplus has got a lot of chrome deposits in their concession, and we're actually going to start chrome mining. We also want to expand the citrus projects. We are currently at 100 hectares of planted citrus, and we want to do probably 100 hectares each year. And we also want to capacitate our project. And in terms of the communities, we want to contribute towards the rural industrialization. We also want to create employment. We've already created employment. And we also want to create disaster relief funds, as well as creating education funds. So basically, this is what we are doing as the community trust, implementing what we are here talking about, the corporate shared values, and by creating investment, community investment that are sustainable, and the proceeds are then utilized in implementing societal requirements in the communities. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Round of applause. Wilson, you said these guys are making 10 grand a month. Can I not speak to the chief Ndipo That's serious money there. But I like the idea that, so initially you guys started, you were doing CSR, and then the fund started running out because you were relying on the money coming from the mine, and then you were then putting it into community projects which were not giving you a return, but they were just to assist and alleviate the challenges in the community. Now you're saying, no, if you give us that dollar, before it gets into the hands of the community, we will first of all generate $3. Then from the $3, we give the dollar to the community, retain the other $2 to make more like that. So that's a sustainable model. Because you guys are going to be like a conglomerate very soon. Let's put our hands together again. This is innovative stuff. This is innovative stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think this example, case study, I think just reinforces the points I was making. So I think it's going well right now. But to start something like this, I don't think on its own Zimplats would have ever, wanted to do this. Government had to step in.
Yeah.
There has to be a push, right? And that push assures Zimplats of security. That look, we are now in the community, right? And in a way, you've bought people's loyalty. You are sharing those values. Also from the community, they're seeing people coming into their land, and mining is very disruptive. So the mountains that they used to see or whatever they used to see, maybe pollution and so forth. So government has to underwrite that to make sure that this relationship that we've created, we are guaranteeing it.
Yeah.
And most companies, I think also, they want formal recognition that, look, this is what we're doing, and sometimes this comes through incentives, tax breaks, and so forth. Yeah, so, yeah, there will be very few companies in the world that actually do this on their own.
Yeah.
Maybe once a company has attained those dizzying heights where they are now in the valuations of the trillions, and money is no longer an object, they become philanthropic, and genuinely they will do this. So you see that foundations, the more generous ones, the Melinda and Bill Gates, type things, is from people like that. But I don't think Microsoft back in 1979 or whatever, you would have ever given in on a free computer. You see, so I think it's governments that enable this. And because companies know that governments have powers to disrupt their businesses, and I think if government assures them that, look, if you behave well and you treat our people well, your business is going to grow, we're going to support you. So I think that just reinforces. And if it's done properly, I think now they've even got a CEO, and I think the chiefs there, the last thing they want to see is Zimplats moving away from them. So again now, the futures of the two are now tied together. And it takes a government then to stabilize that, to ensure that that relationship is not broken. Thank you.
That's very true. Because I remember when this started, it was under Ministry of Indigenization and Youth Empowerment. Yeah, wow, you remember those days? Not very popular amongst the miners, but because they stuck to it. Yes, I think you're right, even in the implementation, sometimes we do get it wrong sometimes, but at least if the idea is correct and we stick to it, now we have got a very significant success story, and I like that. Yes, you want to say something, Marjorie?
You just said what I wanted to say, but to add on to what you said, we all saw the Zimplats story play out in the public domain. It wasn't an easy road to walk, and like he said, at one point they went quiet, and government had to step in because the operations are different. The mining operations are by nature very extractive, and communities can say what is in it for us. And I think we saw it play out. We have that appreciation, but we do not want that pressure because we're different. And so I want my colleagues out there not to feel pressure to say we want to be like Zimplats. They were actually at some point, there was an indigenization act of some sort, which pushed the mining companies to form ownership schemes, community ownership. Theirs is a success story. The other one is not such a success story, the one from the east.
Yes, yeah.
So it really depends. And I want us to have an appreciation, but also not to be under pressure. And also to understand and appreciate that Zimplats were at some point forced by government. So that appreciation has to be there. And let's do whatever we're doing, colleagues, at whatever level in terms of intervention.
Amen. You see, I'm a preacher, man. I was about to say amen. Hallelujah. All right. You want to say something?
I think to add to what you're saying, communities in mining areas are quite defined. Unlike other companies that are operating, if you are probably in school, you are operating everywhere in the country. it's different from Zimplus. Zimplus is operating from Mondorenge as a checkout. So they are looking at a quite defined community, and it's quite easy to deal with, other than other companies. So I think that's the advantage that these mining companies have against the other companies. Yeah.
Thank you. Right, we open it up. Anyone wants to say, so I'm going to recognize, if you want to say something, put your hand. I see there's a light there. Is that a candle on that table? We could be dealing with the fire here. Okay, so it's a candle. So there's a hand there. That's
especially acknowledge what Marjorie has been sharing, that the pressure has risen, especially this year for corporates. My name is Merit. I'm the PR manager for Green Fuel. Just to add on to what she was sharing, that corporates are very different in as much as we're all termed corporates, and to have a model or a standard of corporate shared value may be doing ourselves a disservice, depending on where you're based and the nature of the business that you're in and the community that you're serving. I will speak on my own behalf. We are based in one of the most indigent parts of the country, in Chisumbanji, 500 kilometers from here. And our experiences cannot be compared to a corporate that's based in Harare, that is not faced by thousands and thousands of people relying and depending on your intervention for their lives to change. So our budgets, our pressures, our lived realities become very different. And then we have this pressure to report to ESG, we have this pressure to be visible, we have this pressure to be seen also, so that we come for awards like this. But the reality on the ground is what we may term sustainable is not what my community needs. Chisumbanji is in a Greek region 5. It's drought every year. And then this 2023-24 season was the worst. And you're trying to do a sustainable model of development as a corporate, and people are hungry. And they want cup of minimal for their next meal. And you're trying to not be a donor because you're a corporate. But you cannot look at old men and old women in your office weeping because they don't know where their next meal is coming from. And you're trying to build a science lab for the children so that they can do STEM subjects and we can have doctors and engineers coming from Chisumbanji. So we have to be practical about our approaches to our corporate initiatives, to responses to our communities, knowing and understanding the communities that you're actually serving and that you're a part of. The pressure becomes much. We're the only big corporate in Chipinge South, and we're in a rural area. And then I am at a table with a corporate in Harare that really doesn't have a community that can pick the initiatives that they want to fund and to sponsor and to go play golf and, you know, be PR manager. I thought being a PR manager was me playing golf. I have never played golf because I don't have the luxury. So I just wanted to say that the pressure shouldn't really get to us. Do what you can, see the change, and sometimes the change is generational. Sometimes the change will take 5 years for you to actually say, wow, we made a difference. So it may not be immediate, you may not be acknowledged or recognized, but keep doing what you're doing. To 1 or to 100 or to 10,000, you are making a difference. Who's number 2?
Can I also say the other young lady?
Thank you so much for telling us that we're forever young. Thank you for being so honest and so raw about the realities that communities face. I want to acknowledge the panelists because they're sharing a very real journey about what sustainability takes. My name is Ruby Moyo, and I'm the Partnerships Manager for CARE International in Zimbabwe. And our role really is to implement. What I want to really speak about is 4 things. Why we all wake up every day. If you're a corporate, it's profit. If you are an organization like CARE, you're waking up for purpose. If you're a government, you're waking up for people. But there's one big P that we all need to work together on, and that's the planet. And I think my sister Marjorie spoke about ESG and all these difficult conversations that are taking place now. The reality is our planet is not the same anymore. And we might want to do donations, we might want to make big plans that are sustainable, but the reality is everything we need to do now has to factor in that planet. How are we taking care of this home that we call Earth? And the only way we can actually get to a place where there is shared corporate value, I think it's in capacity sharing. I think we need to come to a place as organizations, as corporates, where we stop competing over purpose. We want to donate and come out in the paper for having donated 1,000 kgs of mealie meal. We want to come out in the paper and be celebrated for these donations, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with recognition. But we need to draw the line between competing for profits and competing for purpose. There are real lives at stake at the end of the day. And the other thing that I want us to start learning as individuals, as corporates, is to share those capacities. She's in Chisumbaje, I know your reality. It's hard. You know, there's a corporate in Harare, in Mashingo, in Blawayo. Marjorie spoke about going to Matabeleland. When you go there, it's heartbreaking. But we need to come together and start sharing our experiences. I love your case study because it's one of the things that we look at when we are developing our partnerships at CARE. How can we do it better? So let's not hold information and say, oh, I want to be the one that comes out of the paper having donated 1,000 liters of cooking oil. Let's share those capacities. Let's learn to be collaborators for purpose. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Lastly, the young man there. He fits the bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First and foremost, I want to commend our panelists for very important and practical insights. You really shared very profound nuggets, which I believe, if documented, can go a long way into informing how other entities can replicate the same approaches that you are rolling out. I'm sure we're all aware about the SDGs narrative and also the countdown to 2030, with quite a number of organizations, countries, really loading a lot of pressure in terms of, so come 2030, if we look back, what are we going to count as achievements? And I want again to link all the nuggets and contributions which have been shared to the SDG narrative and how you're contributing towards moving the nuggets around key sustainable development goals. Just two key questions from my end, maybe around the community share ownership. The first one is, to what extent is your model open for other private corporates in the districts that you've mentioned to collaborate with you? I come from Zimba, and when you were speaking, I almost stood up to say, I'm one of the households in your districts. How can we collaborate? The second question is, how are you tracking the positive change you are making in the respective communities? You shared very important positive stories around what's happening in the poultry side of things, but again, I would be very keen to appreciate how you are tracking over time, how you're moving the needle in terms of fighting poverty, improving incomes. How are you doing that through your respective entities? Otherwise, a big round of applause to you, our panelists. Thank you.
Thank you. So what would thrown at you? If you could answer those two questions, and then your concluding remarks, then we can then come round and conclude. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think the first question was on the collaboration with other entities. Yes, we are currently actually looking at that. We are a child of Zimplats, and we are more to Zimplats than to any other entity in the region or in the district. But however, we are looking at bringing all other entities that are interested in our model to come together and to further remodel the trusts into something that will then incorporate other entities. I'll give an example that we've got Karo that has started mining in there. We've got other companies that are also operating there. We've got the Chinese doing chrome there at Selu. Those are companies that we actually talking to. We want to collaborate with them so that they also contribute into a model that will encompass all the entities in the district or in Mashonaland West. So that's in the pipeline. We want to work with everyone. And at the end of the day, it won't be Zimplats only, but everyone else in the district. The other question was, how do we track? How does our model track the farmers that are currently farming or probably progress? The chicken model, the outgrowers model, is a model that is very strict on profitability. There was a point where there was a lot of losses that were being incurred by farmers. And it was during the, I can say the bond era, whereby the model was you would then be paid bond after 20 days and some days, and you will lost money. And there was a lot of side marketing that was happening. So we have implemented a model that is more US dollar now. It's more stable, and we've got chiefs also working on that on the farmers. Every chief has got a certain number of farmers that is under him. He is responsible for tracking the farmers as well. We also have got extension officers that are going around in terms of making sure that all what we are giving to the farmers is utilized as required by the model. And we're expanding as well. That's part of our program. We are going in to be doing outside the 100-kilometer radius that we've been doing. We've already started doing Beatrice, which is quite far from Chego. We are also going as far as Rafingora, so that we take more farmers from us, and that also requires a lot of training, a lot of extension officers
and also involvement of community leaders. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope you answered Ombo. Also give them your address. Yeah. What with GPS? Yeah. All right. Marjorie, 1 minute. A concluding remark.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the organizers and thank you to the Minister of Industry and Commerce. We saw what you did with the Mondoro Zimplats community scheme. You were purposeful on that. We saw that. And it's not many who are like Zimplats. To the organizers, let's continue having these conversations. They are not a one day. They're okay to start at awards night, but let's even go out and probably start training, capacity building. Let's unbundle what it is to talk about transitioning from donation, CSR, ESG, carbon footprint to shared corporate values or corporate shared values. To my colleagues, we're doing a splendid job. All the PR communications, media guys in here, we doing a splendid job. Let's keep at it. Communities do appreciate us. Children's homes, orphanages, all people's homes, or transforming lives in communities like here. People appreciate us merit. We appreciate, we know what you're doing. And so we are on the right track. And we love government that you come in, you kind of then give us the direction and where we're going wrong, you need to pull us. But I think as Zimbabweans, we're doing extremely well. This is a drought here. It needs a lot of intervention in terms of just relief. So a little something goes a long way, Vanema. So a little something goes a long way. And so for the media guys who are here, I noticed there are media partners in here. Keep encouraging us, give us that visibility. Because if you give me visibility, my shareholder who is excited, it will give me more. Okay, so there's nothing wrong in appearing in the papers when I've donated 1,000 liters of cooking oil. Okay, there's absolute, people love it. So we're all doing a splendid job. For me, I'm here to encourage and to just say we're doing a great job. And the organizers, second year running, growing bigger. Last year, kind of, so we're getting big, we're getting better. So congratulations to everybody, and well done. Let's keep the conversation going. And Zida, our government agent, when investors come, can it be 30 minutes to open? So that there's more money for interventions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, Tafazwa, before you speak, I wanted to ask you, in 1 minute, is CSV supposed to deal with government's shortcomings in their responsibilities? Is that how we are seeing it? You said government has got the responsibility to deal with social needs, infrastructure. When we come in as corporates to plug that gap, are we saying government has failed?
Okay, so interesting conversation in the comments from the floor. I just don't want us to lose it, because when so semantics aside, I think what stands this out from your CSR and donations and things like that is the shared vision of the interests are aligned.
Right, community's interests.
So I'm worried that, yes, I think the young lady said she's in Kisumbanje. If every year you are giving people buckets of meal, there's something wrong. You're not thinking long term, right? What are you doing to stop them coming to you to ask for that meal? Because if 10 years from now you're still giving the same thing to the same community, there's no growth. So you need to look ahead and say that in the next 20 years, how are we going to transform this community? How are we going to get more skilled people, educated people, healthy people from this community to become our managers here and so forth, you see? So actually, think of it differently, that this one here forces you to say that I want to transform this economy, right, or to this. They're down there in Kisumbanje, they're irrigating sugarcane, right? So how do you make farmers there at more product? Like what they're doing, they've made people here put money in their pockets. I think the last thing Zimplats is going to see is people coming there to say there's a drought. We want a million and so forth. So I'm simply challenging it there, that this forces you to share values, right? If those values are aligned, the company is going to grow in that community, and the community is going to appreciate it, and the community is also going to grow and start contributing more positively to you as well. Yeah, but I think the donation aspect of things
Should be a transition kind of thing.
is just an emergency.
Yeah.
Right, okay, there's something that is exceptional, and your classic case is the cyclone in Eastern Islands. That's your classic case. This is where corporates, our outbound, and we say, there's a disaster, let's go and do something about it. But droughts, we know that we are prone to droughts. And I think if we can now start saying that how do we stop people being affected by droughts, I think that's what's going to help. It could even be, the girl child issues, that why they're falling behind in school. And we want to see progress, So if I'm in a community where I'm affected by that a lot, and I've got ways of doing that, I want to see that. So this is where I'm saying that the government sets the vision, the direction, that this is where we want to go. Infrastructure, yes, I think we don't have the funding and the international support to do some of the core infrastructure needs. And obviously, in some cases, we do partner with the private sector. But it should be, again, on a sustainable, development-oriented approach, where we are not, because also I think we also don't want our people to be donor-dependent on us. That every year there's a drought, look, I'm not going to do anything about it. I just go there, look pitiful, I'm going to get something. So I think we also want that as our businesses grow, the communities that we are in are also growing. They're becoming less dependent on us. They're actually wanting different things, better things from us, than just the handouts. So I hope I didn't offend anyone, but I just thought
That's fine. No harm intended. No harm intended. Let's put our hands together for our panelists. I couldn't have chosen a better panel discussion to have. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your time and your input in it. Let's put our hands together as they take their seats. Thank you very much.